but I was definitely like there was a lot of anger there. And it was fueled by the things I was into, like punk music
Mm.
just like drugs and alcohol and stuff like that. Like not like debilitating or anything. But but yeah, that's it was just all about like partying and it was like mostly hanging around with like guys in like punk bands and stuff like that. So yeah, there was a lot of anger. It'd probably just be like chill out, and try to like figure things out, because it took me a while to figure things out. Like I didn't end up going to school until I was about 25. Yeah, I just kind of like didn't really want to be a part of anything. Yeah, I think it would just be like be a little bit more inclusive and a little bit more accepting of people's faults.
All
I
right.
was like very elitist, as
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
like especially with like music and like
yeah.
if like if you didn't like the obscure weird bands that I liked, then you were dumb. It was just like come
I
on, like.
discovered My Chemical Romance before they were cool. Welcome back, everyone, to a new episode of the Johnny Rogers Show. I'm very excited for my guest today. He is a regular at Absolute Comedy and a stand-up comedian from Ottawa, Ontario. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for my friend yours, Brad Doiron.
Hey,
Hey, what's going on, man?
not much you.
Not too much. Um, your last name again for the pronunciation. I just recorded an intro and I was like, oh man, I hope I got that right. I
Yeah, it really depends where you are. Like Doiron, if you
think I
could
said
say it.
Doron.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's
Yeah,
fine. Okay, cool.
yeah, yeah.
All right,
Like
well,
in PI where my family's from, it's Durong.
Doron.
Yeah.
Why do they hold a G on it?
I have no idea. There's no G in it, but
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
That's funny. I love PI. I remember I went
Yeah.
there when I was like probably 9 or 10.
Oh,
Blown
yeah.
away. My dad wanted to move there. He was all set. He was just like, he's like, I can't remember when this was. This was like back in the late 90s. And he was just like, there's no chip trucks here. There's no like French fry trucks, but they all these potatoes. He's like, it was
Yeah,
like,
it's
it was all coming together in his head. He's like, we're going to be millionaires. Gonna set up a chip
it's
truck on the beach. I'm like, yeah,
yeah,
till
they're
the winter
very yeah,
comes.
they do not like food trucks there.
That's so
There's like so many bylaws against them and stuff like that.
funny. Really?
Yeah, yeah. So
Okay, well, I'm gonna let him know that
that's
he made the right choice. Uprooting his family and moving to PEI. So is that where you were born and raised?
No, I wasn't raised there, but my family's from like both my parents are from the same small town
Oh,
in Rustico, yeah.
okay,
And
cool.
yeah. But yeah, I was raised here in Ottawa. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I should say to the audience too, well, I mentioned in the intro that you're a stand-up comic from Ottawa.
Yeah.
But we were at Absolute Comedy and you killed it, and I was just
Oh.
like, oh yeah, I gotta get Brad on the
Thanks.
podcast.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Wait,
Yeah.
so you won the Absolute Comedy competition. Was that this year or was that the year prior?
That was yeah, 2023.
2023.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah,
nice.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I always have like I have the kind of a love-hate relationship with competition shows. I love the amount of spots you get. I hate the pressure that I put on myself of like
Sure. Yeah.
even though you can
Yeah.
tell yourself like there's not really a lot riding on it, but like you're still pressured to perform a certain way or like perform a way that you think is going to move you on, or you know what I mean? There's some.
Yeah, I mean, like especially like the absolute competition, there's no like the only place it's going to help you is absolute. Like
Mhm.
that's like you're not going to get like, I mean, no one's getting a JFL spot now,
Right.
but
It
but
doesn't
like
like
it's
trickle off. Yeah, yeah.
no, exactly. But yeah, it's only gonna it's gonna like bring you on the owner's radar. And like especially if you get past, even if you do well and you don't get past, you're still, you're still gonna be able to like get on those like Tuesdays and Wednesdays and then work yourself up to the weekends. It's a long game though.
Yeah.
But that club is like, if you can get into that club for like hosting or eventually headlining, it's a really good payday. Because you're doing like, they're open 7 days a week, so
Yeah.
like you're doing Tuesday to Sunday there, two shows Friday, two shows Saturday, plus Moose McGuire's. So you do like 9 shows potentially in a row. If you're hosting it, it's a really good workout. It's a good payday.
Yeah.
And like, there's no other opportunity like that in any other comedy clubs in Canada, if not North America. Like
To
there may
have
be
that
some
kind of stretch of shows. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. And like, sure, you're only going to get, you're on like an eight month rotation or something like that.
Hmm.
And it helps to be in good with the club if you're in Ottawa or in Toronto. But yeah, I mean, like, that's really how I like view because like I did the competition, like when I first started comedy, and I did it here in Ottawa, and that kind of got me like a leg up with the club. I'd only been doing comedy for maybe 8 months, but I got through into the semifinals, and that got me on, you know, Jason's radar.
Hmm.
So he was like giving me spots there. Like, to win it is great, you get the
Yeah.
week, you get like a little bit of cash, and I guess it's a credit, but like you can't really plug that credit in like Vancouver.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They're not gonna
Like,
really
no,
care.
yeah, no one really cares. It's really only important in Ottawa or Toronto,
I
but
guess
it's more just to get your foot into the door in that club. Yeah. Mhm.
yeah, and I guess too, it's like also fine tuning your own material too. Like when you were
For
going,
sure.
I want to talk about like the year that you won. When you were going show after show, were you looking back at like the recording of that performance and trying to maybe take the feedback and tweak things here and there? Or were you feeling solid kind of all the way through? Like I'm just gonna keep doing the same joke. It's working. Let me just keep doing the same.
Yeah, I mean, like Jay kind of wants you to just do those jokes over and over. Like, he wants to see consistency. So he wants to see if like if your act is good over and over and over. Because there
Hmm.
could be like a fluke night where the audience you just click with the audience, and then like the next night you don't click with the audience. And
Right.
then it's like, okay, well then maybe it's just like
A
uh, you know
one-off.
yeah, just like a one-off thing. He wants to see consistency in his comics. I mean, like, the guy runs a really good club, and like, he knows what he's doing and he knows what he wants.
Hmm.
It's not saying like what you do at Absolute is going to work anywhere else.
Yeah, yeah.
But I
That was
mean,
the thing I appreciated about him too was his like honest feedback of there was a
yes,
joke that I did and he was like, don't get me wrong, he's like, I love the joke, but like from a business perspective, I can't
yeah,
have anyone like groaning or getting like too offended, you know?
yeah,
Like
exactly, yeah,
like you
yeah,
have to sort of pull back from some topics. And I was like,
yeah. And
okay,
I
that makes
think
sense.
Yeah, and that's like a good because like comedy, and I find like a lot of like comics, especially like new comics, want like to be artists. And it's true. It is an art form, there's a
Hmm.
lot of creativity to it, but like, first and foremost, it's a business,
Yeah.
like, especially club comedy. Like, sure, if you want to get like, like a one-person show and do theaters, and like that Australian comic, anyway. But
Yeah.
I forget her name, but like, like, there's a lot of comics that aren't gonna like do well at like an absolute club.
Right. Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I enjoy clubs. Like, I love performing in small, intimate environments, and that's the type of comic I want to be. So, it's good to
Yeah.
take that advice from Jay because he knows what he's doing, But
Yeah, and I think that's true where like I've been doing comedy since I was 19. So I'm always
yeah.
I've been always trying to figure out like where do you fit in to this like scene, right? And I
Hmm.
think like I think the clubs for sure is something where I've always just felt comfortable in those environments.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not even like I guess it's just the whole context of like comedy club. Like there's no way that anyone's gonna be like, what? Like they're telling jokes in here,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, yeah.
Or if you're
Yeah,
doing like I've sort of stopped doing a lot of like bar and restaurant shows just for that reason because it's like,
exactly.
man, this isn't really helping me. Like unless it's something I is really new and really shaky and I need to work on it, maybe. But
Yeah.
for the most part, it's like those shows like you do them early on to get your kind of feet under you as a comic, but then as you get on in years as doing comedy, you're like, I know what a joke is. Like I don't need to, I can write something and go like that's going to be funny, and then I don't
Yeah,
need to
exactly.
run it like 17 times at an open mic. It's a waste of my time almost.
Yeah. And it like really depends what type of scene you're in.
Mm,
Like when I was in Vancouver, it was very much like the like independent bar shows were well populated by the
right.
audience. And there was like a lot of good comics doing that stuff, and you could make like a decent like not career, but like get your name out that way
Right.
because the audiences supported those shows. Whereas like Ottawa, I find it's a little bit different. The bar independent shows don't get the same support from the audience that like Vancouver did.
Hmm.
But then you go into the club environments and like Absolute is sold out like most like throughout the winter, most weekends, like there's three clubs here. Well, I guess four if you count cultures. There's so it's more clubby, but then you go to the small bar open mics, and they're often like, uh, I mean, like they're like people go to them and stuff like that, but sometimes they can be kind of chaotic, and that's what's fun
Yeah.
about them,
Yeah,
like
sure.
they're
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Depends on what
yeah,
mood
they're
you're in.
yeah, exactly. But like it's hard to really like work on anything in those rooms because you're not getting uh that like good feedback that you would from like a club. But yeah, I guess it really depends what type of scene you're in and
That's a good point.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So when did you get started? I always love the sort of origin story of
Yeah.
comedians. That's my kind of thing that I love talking about because like it is for a lot of people just public speaking in general is a very scary thing. So for someone
Yeah.
to, be a fan of comedy and then or not even be a fan of comedy, just think that they're funny enough to get on stage and want to try it. It always intrigues me that kind of like what was going through your head at that time.
Yeah, I started here in Ottawa. Like my first set was at Absolute on the Monday night. And then yeah, yeah, it was like 2012. It was and I was listening to podcasts because like podcasts were like really big then. I was listening to a lot of comedy podcasts because like I always loved stand up, but I never like it was just so like amorphous, like I
Hmm.
didn't understand anything about it. And like I had no idea how to get into it or anything like that. But then listening to the podcast, it was just like just go to an open mic, just sign up for an open mic, get 5 minutes of dumb jokes, and go to an open mic. So that's, but like I don't like because I started when I was 33. I wish I had started when I was 23.
Mm.
But like the internet wasn't as like prevalent then, and it was harder to sort of like Absolute wasn't around. It was just Yuck Yucks, and that was kind of viewed as like you had to be like Norm Macdonald, to get into to perform there. I had no idea that there was sort of like these little avenues. And then also I did have friends that started doing like Trevor Thompson.
Okay.
Like I knew Trevor from high school, and then so like we were like friends on Facebook or whatever, and I saw that he was doing comedy. I'm just like, oh, okay. So like people I know, there was
You're like,
also
oh, they're
like
letting anyone do this.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Trevor,
yeah.
appreciate
And
that.
yes, and there was a guy in Halifax, Andrew Vaughn. I went to university with him. He's passed since, but
Hmm.
he was like a big like a big well, he was involved in the comedy scene in Halifax, and it was just like kind of seeing like, okay, like if Andrew can do it, then
Yeah.
then I can do it. Once I saw like contemporaries doing it, um, then yeah, and then it was just kind of like writing jokes. That was the hardest part, obviously.
So hard.
Yeah, I know,
Your
especially for
first
your
5 minutes
studio.
is like it feels impossible.
I know
You're
it
just
was
sitting there going,
nuts.
"Pfft, what's funny? What's funny? What's funny?"
Yeah,
You're trying to remember
I
stories you've told or whatever.
yeah, that was pretty much it. Was all
Yeah.
like just like little like my wife was or still is like her favorite show is Murder She Wrote.
Okay.
So like I had a whole joke about like what if like all the criminals that she put in jail, all the murderers that she put in jail, like escape and come after her. It's like a dumb joke. And then like as like a week after somebody told me because I asked like how do you know if like a joke's been written or not, and they're like, well, just Google it. And then so
Oh,
I Googled that joke and somebody had done that joke already. um and then there was also another joke that I did, and it was like word for word Alex Wood.
yeah.
He's a comic and Toronto there.
Yeah,
Like it
yeah.
was
I know
like a
Alex.
word, yeah, it was a word for word joke that Alex Wood
Oh
had said.
man.
I had no idea who Alex
Yeah,
Wood
yeah.
was or had ever seen him perform.
That's
But so I did my first set, and then like a comic said, "That's like you ripped that off from Alex Wood," and I was
my
like who?"
you're like, I don't know even know who that was. That happened to me too. Like one of my first jokes was about like um where's Waldo? I was like, how come nobody ever asked
Oh
how's
yeah.
Waldo? And I was like, oh, this is so genius, whatever. And then Mark Hallworth, God bless him, pulls me aside after an open mic and was like, "Hey man, just wanted to let you know, like that like another guy did that joke. Like I just don't want you going around like doing the same
Yeah,
thing. Like I
yeah,
know you're
yeah.
new." And he was so kind about it too. And I was like, "Oh my God." I felt like terrible. I felt like a
Yeah, I
criminal.
know.
I was like, "Oh
I
no,
know, I
I didn't
know.
mean to." I was like, it just
Yeah,
came, it
yeah.
was like came to me. I thought, it was funny. But there's so many times like that where there's like parallel thinking. Like I remember even being at a comedy show, and I think it was Alex Wood who actually overheard it, but me and Tamara Siobhan, somebody said something, and we both looked at each other and said like the same tag. Like we had come up with the
Oh, okay,
same
yeah.
tag at
Yeah.
the exact same time, like literally, like in sync said it. And then he overheard that and was like, "Hey guys, if you both came up with that right now, it probably sucks."
That's true. That's a very good
I
point.
was like, "It's true," which made us just laugh even harder, right? Like, because you think you're so clever when you come up with something, and then you just kind of go, maybe
Yeah.
not.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God.
Yeah, that's a hard thing too, is you get this sort of, well, some people, I don't want to overgeneralize, but early on you have this almost like delusional confidence with your material. Like if
Yes.
you do well like with something new,
Yeah.
you're just like, I'm fucking a savant. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm waiting for SNL to hit my phone up. Like,
Yeah, yeah, because like my first few sets were really good, and then like my first bomb hit really hard.
oh
Yeah, it
yeah, that's
was
what I want to hear about.
yeah, yeah.
I actually wrote down here best bomb story. I love
It's
hearing those.
oh, I mean, oh yeah, I've had lots of bombs, but and like mostly here in Ottawa since I've moved back, we're like a
Nice.
couple of years ago. But yeah, no, there was like a roast show that I did.
Oh.
There it was when I was in Vancouver, and like I still have PTSD from it. It's just like I had no like I did not prepare at all for it.
Mhm.
I had like super loose like concepts of jokes. I have concepts of a plan, but
Concepts of a plan on stage never
yeah.
work.
No, yeah. One of the like roast judges was just like, that was a nice monologue, you know.
Yeah, where were the punchlines, bro?
Yeah, there was nothing. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that's
Oh,
gret.
yeah. I haven't done a roast since, and I
Yeah.
probably will.
I
Yeah,
was gonna say,
well,
what have you learned from that bomb thing? Probably not to do roasts ever
not to do
again.
roasts anymore. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I love and appreciate roast so much, and like I can write a roast joke, but I'm also at the same time,
No.
it's so you're walking such a fine line between like being clever and rude and just being mean.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
sometimes a roast joke, they say it in the cadence of it's going to be funny, and then it's just mean, and you're just like, well, you're just being an asshole. Like
Yeah, yeah.
you got to actually say something that's like clever and like apparent about this person, that everyone kind of that even they go like, oh yeah, that is totally me.
No, it's true. And it's hard to like write because like my, like I'm not like an aggressive comedian at all. Like I could perform clean for most of my jokes, so it's
Mhm.
hard to be that sort of like edgy, offensive,
Right, right.
which I feel like, but like I,
Which would be funny if you did like a
yeah,
clean roast, like it was
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
a compliment roast.
A compliment roast. I've seen people do that and it does
It's
work for
great. Yeah, yeah,
sure.
yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. But yeah, bombing is yeah, it sucks when you like when you are bombing on polished material too.
Oh, yeah.
That's the saddest part because you're like, I
Oh,
know this works.
yeah.
Yeah,
That happened to
is
me at the
it
Comedy Nest. I did like
oh right,
an
okay.
8 o'clock and a 10 o'clock show. 8 o'clock
Hmm.
show went great. 10 o'clock show, do the same material, bomb my ass off.
Yeah, yeah,
I was
I
like, what the
know.
fuck? I was
What's
like, just
going on?
where were you guys? Like 90 minutes ago, they were standing on their feet clapping, you know? You assholes are like, oh.
I know it's so hard, but
Yeah, yeah.
anyway, but like I find bombing, it just makes me want to get back up
Right.
even faster the next time. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. And I guess too, like that one experience you had, did you learn to like always be prepared for sets? Like
Yes,
after that,
yeah,
you're
for
like,
sure. Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
I gotta lock in on this. I can't wing
Yeah.
this.
It
That's
was
always been
just
my
like
biggest mistake is not preparing.
yeah, I do that a lot. Like I'm pretty good with like timing. Like I'm good now with like being on stage and knowing how long 6 minutes is just
Mm,
inherently. But it's more just like that sort of like structure and that flow where like you like I always try to have like my jokes sort of like uh, you know, like I don't want it to come off as just like a bunch of one-liners. Like I'm not a one-liner comic at all, but
right.
like I want them to make sense.
You want them to tie together.
Yeah, because like
Yeah.
I don't like I did Todd Van Allen's Write 'em Up
Oh
show
yeah,
there,
yeah. That's great.
and Brendan McKeegan wrote a roast joke about me about how like I don't have any punchlines. It's all setups.
You're like, you
And it's
did.
yeah, well, but it's kind of true,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's what because I write that way, like I don't have like big pops.
Hmm.
Then I need them to sort of flow for it to make sense,
Right.
for the audience to be able to follow along and understand what's happening. So yeah, if I don't prepare it that way and I just get up and
Yeah.
just start talking, then it's yeah,
I've done that when
it derails
hosting.
pretty fast. Yeah,
Hosting is that's the worst trap you can fall into. Hosting is just starting to talk and you're like, "Oh, I'm
yeah,
not saying anything. I'm not setting
yeah,
anything up. I'm
yeah.
not
I
setting
know.
anything up. I'm just
Yeah,
that's interesting and what's going on over here."
yeah,
Like
yeah,
just
yeah.
narrating the room basically. It's like, "Oh, you start to like lose traction. You're like, "Okay, we're losing them. We're losing them.
Yes,
Fire a
exactly.
bit out." That's
I know.
my problem with jokes is like I'll have a great premise, what I think
Hmm.
is a great premise. But if I
Hmm.
can't, or a good story even, but if I can't find a way to end it, I can't bring it on stage. Because I like even if I don't know what's happening in the middle, like what the
Yeah.
funny parts in the middle is, as long as I have a good thing to end on, a
Hmm.
funny set of words, whatever it is. So I'm usually writing jokes like backwards, like starting with
Okay.
how I'm gonna end it. This is how I want to end it, and then I'll write like how I'm gonna lead up to it. And I
Yeah.
heard, oh, I was watching Dave Chappelle's special. I think it was like Equanimity and the Bird Revelation,
Yeah.
where he said that he has like a jar with like punchlines in it. And he goes, every now and
Oh.
again, I'll just reach in and pull out like a punchline and then try to write a joke to that punchline. And I was like, that's
And that
fucking genius.
that makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's why that guy is who he is. He thinks
Yeah.
like that.
Do you like physically write down or like type your
Um,
jokes out or
no, yeah, I write on like I write like 2, 3 words on a sticky
okay.
note.
Just as like a reminder for what
Yeah, like
yeah,
I can
yeah. Okay, okay.
see here like I have one joke I'm working on and the 2 words just say ISIS couture.
Okay.
I don't know what the fuck.
Yeah. I mean, within your brain that probably
Yeah, I
makes
know
sense.
what that means. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I'm like,
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
got it. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But like if it's a new joke where I'm trying to flush it out, I'll usually just like type it into my phone, and it's bullet points mostly, like
Okay, yeah, exactly.
whatever
Yeah.
words, and then the
Hmm.
whole flow of it. Because I will, when I'm like, say, like this new car theft joke that I've been working on, like I
Hmm.
wrote a bunch of different like tags within the story of it. But I'm like, realistically, after performing it 3, 4 times, I'm probably gonna cut out like 60% of it and just take
Okay,
whatever
yeah,
whatever
exactly.
whatever line hit the most, that'll stay in, and then everything else will be trash.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I have a hard time killing my babies though. Like, like when I think something's really funny,
Yeah.
like I've been working on this joke about like pineapples, and I say like pineapples are the only fruits that look like they're constantly being electrocuted.
Mm.
And
That's-
I think that's really funny, but it never like the audience does. I don't know if they
I think
don't
it's
get
really
it.
funny. I have the
Yeah.
same thing, man. I have the my expired food bit. I added a new tag in there where after I say like hey guys, it says best before, not become sentient after. And then I pause and say it's eating the milk. And I don't know why that's so funny to me. Picturing a piece of cheese eating milk, like
Yeah.
it just makes me laugh, but it doesn't get the pop that I think it deserves. Like
Yeah, I know.
people are just glazed right over it, and I don't know if
Yeah.
it's because it's the previous laugh is too close, like it needs space, you know?
Oh, maybe. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
like I'll find myself like having to just like, okay, let me give this like a couple beats before talking again, because I
Yeah.
used to do that too, like steamroll a laugh, like just go right into
Yes.
your next thing, and it's such a bad habit.
No, yeah, learning how to pause and learning how to like, because like I find like the first like few years is just being comfortable on stage and like trying to remember your actual jokes.
Yeah.
And then it's like then you like once you're comfortable and you have a solid set, it's then watching the audience while you're
Hmm.
doing it and seeing how they're interacting. Because like a
Yeah.
lot of like comics like forget that it's a two-way street. You're like you can't do comedy without an audience, and an audience can't go to a comedy show without a comic. So
Right.
you need to be working as like a symbiotic entity, and you need to be paying attention to them and seeing what their reactions are. And but in
Yeah.
order to do that, you have to be comfortable with your act and be comfortable on stage. So
Comfortable in
that
silence too.
yeah, exactly, for sure.
Like once I realized that silence is just like building tension,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's such a better way to think of it. Like I used to try to
Mhm.
fill the silence. Like I couldn't have like a pause. I guess doing so many fucking podcasts, like that's the
Yeah,
opposite of what you want.
that's
If you're doing a
true. It's true.
podcast,
Yeah.
a listener is like, why is no one talking? Even if I'm like have a tech issue, I'm like talking out what I'm doing. But
Yeah.
on stage, it's the opposite. Like you want to actually maybe sit in the silence for a second and let them think about what you said, or like be like, oh, what is he going to say next? Like, let them start coming up with shit in their head and then breaking that tension with like what you say next.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I do love when the audience is completely silent and like so
By your
they're
command, not.
yeah, yeah, exactly, for sure. But like
Yeah.
they're it shows that they're listening and that
Yeah.
like yeah, because like I hate crowds, but I love being the center of attention in a
Right.
crowd.
This is so true. I feel the same way. I look at a concert and I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
I don't want to be
exactly.
anywhere
Yeah.
near that, but I do want to be on stage.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what's
Yeah.
one thing that I think needs to be eliminated from all comedy clubs is the shoveling of ice. I feel
Oh my
like
God, the
every
bar.
recording I have is
Yeah, I know.
oh
Well,
my
I mean,
God.
like
Every club
their
you go
whole,
to.
yeah, because like the club only cares about selling alcohol.
Oh yeah,
So I mean, but yeah, it's true. All that ambient or like receipt
yeah. Yeah,
printing
yeah.
machines, like just invest in one that's
You can
silent.
hear
Like
the
you have
paper
to.
rip and
Yeah,
like
I know. I know.
fuck.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's got
yeah,
to be the worst doing like a check spot or something when they're bringing
yeah,
around the stuff. I feel
yeah.
like in the US they have like a comic that performs during that segment before a headliner comes on stage.
Oh yes, yeah,
But
for
here I
sure.
think they start doing the checks and stuff like as the headliners on stage. Am I wrong?
Well, yeah, usually like you're supposed to like usually the host will do, like 5 to 10 minutes before the headliner so people can get up and go pee
Right.
and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, like because there was a comedy mix in Vancouver that no longer exists, but their bar was like separate from the room.
Mm,
Same with the Yucks there when I was
yeah.
there,
It's the way it should be.
which yeah, which also no longer exists. But
Uh,
yeah, the bar was outside of the performance space, so you never got any of that bar racket. But yeah, when you or just even like the random bar shows that you're in, the worst is when like there's like the random bar shows and then there's people that aren't watching the show and they're just like, we don't care about anyone but us. So we're just going to talk at full volume.
yeah, yeah.
I know. It's
There's a story that I tell all the time, but like I was doing a show with Kyle Lucy and it was at like some restaurant or whatever.
mhm.
And he gets up on stage and right when he says like, okay guys, we're gonna start like a comedy show. We're gonna be kicking it off. A woman had just cut into like a steak and she dropped her fork and knife and went, oh, she got visibly annoyed that a comedy show was about to start.
Oh
Right as she was about to
no.
dig into her meal, she was like, oh, for Christ's sake.
I know.
You're like, oh, this is a wonderful way to start
Yeah.
a show. People
No.
are annoyed that we're here.
No,
Those
yeah, if you're gonna do a bar show, you need like a
you gotta
separate
let them
room.
know, or let
Yeah,
them know.
or just like go around, let everyone know
Yeah,
there's going to be like a really bad comedy show happening.
hey, I know you're coming in here for a meal, but in about 20 minutes we're gonna be starting a comedy show. You
Yeah,
decide. Do you
yeah.
want to stay for that or not?
Do
Like,
you want to stay for my dreams,
yeah, yeah,
or
yeah, yeah.
are
Yeah.
you
That's
good to
always what
go?
every comic says. Like, I'm just up here trying to live my dream, man. He's like, I'm just trying to have half price wings. What are we doing? Trying to watch the
That's true.
Canadians game.
Mhm.
Um, uh, your word for the episode was undecided. Are you still
Yes.
on that word or are you undecided?
Yeah, well, I think like generally in life, I'm relatively undecided.
Okay.
Yeah, like like switched careers a few times. I like my wife and I we move cities every like 4 years pretty
I
much.
love that.
Yeah, we're just constantly like I'll like collect things and then no longer collect them.
Mm,
Um, and like comedy, like I'm not decided on like what I want to do with it.
right.
Like I just know that I enjoy doing it and I like l- like enjoy the relationships that I built from it. I got lifelong friends from comedy that
Yeah.
I would have never even like met or talked to if it wasn't for comedy. But yeah, like I'm just like I don't really know like what I want to do when I grow up, I guess. And
Right there with you, buddy.
it's yeah. So yeah,
I hated that question.
yeah, because it's hard to like especially in Canada, it's hard to make comedy a career.
Right. You have to go
Uh,
somewhere else.
yeah,
England, you go
yeah,
to America, you got to go somewhere
yeah.
bigger.
I think it's like easier now than it
For
really ever
sure.
has been, but with like JFL going under, that was like, because I that was the thing I was working towards, right?
Oh, yeah.
And when that and like I was supposed to showcase when COVID was happening. But then I got COVID, so I couldn't showcase, and
Oh,
then I did showcase, but that was when Zoe was running things. So she finally gave me an opportunity to showcase. And like showcasing like like that's not necessarily going to get you into the festival or anything, but
but it gets
it's
eyes
a
on you.
well, it's the first
Yeah.
step, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then but then so and then she left and then Neil came in and like Neil's super nice and everything like that, but like that first year that Neil was doing the showcasing, he saw like 700 comics across the country. Like he was just letting anyone and everyone showcase just to
Hmm.
get a bar of what Canadian comedy was. So, I got into that, showcase for him and then showcase for him again. And then, so I was just like, yeah, it's coming, and then so now like I don't know what to do. And it's
Right.
just sort of like, just like applying for random festivals, but then everyone I talk to that does festivals, they're just like, it's not worth it. Like you don't get any money and there's really the exposure is limited.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna
So it's
say. Like, I like what
yeah.
you're doing of moving different cities, and like
Yes, yeah.
that's why I came to Ottawa, was because I was like, I experienced the Toronto comedy scene for like 9 years. Like
Yeah,
I
exactly.
had been there. I'd been to every bar show. I'd been to every open mic, every new open mic, every closed open mic, every new club, every closed club. Like I did all of
Hmm.
them, and then I was like, I've done like a couple shows in Ottawa, but I don't really know the scene at all. So I was like, let me move there and then
Yeah, yeah.
experience the scene. And I get more, I think, out of that than like applying to festivals because one, you most of the time have to like pay them like for an application, like send
Yeah,
$50, unless it's like
often.
Winnipeg Comedy Festival or like
Yeah.
Halifax Comedy Festival. But most times, like if somebody wants you on their festival, they're gonna reach out to you and be like, "Hey, do you want to
Hmm.
do our comedy festival?" And you're like, "Yeah, sure, would love to." And that's actually gonna put you in a better position because now you are the bargaining chip of like, okay, I need hotel paid, I need travel paid,
Yeah,
and whatever you give me for the show, I don't really care as long as those things are taken care of, especially if you're
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
new to this, festival circuit. But I think going and living in embedding yourself in different comedy scenes is probably more beneficial for growth, I guess,
Well,
or like
yeah, like it definitely
connections.
does. Yes, that's mostly what it
Yeah.
is connections, because that's all comedy is, especially in
Yeah.
Canada.
Yeah.
It's like if you know somebody, then they'll vouch for you or, whatever. But it's also like, you can just pick up and go to like a random city and have a couch to crash on,
Right.
or
Yeah. Yeah.
because like I've been a part of a few scenes now, and it's nice to know that you can go to a city and you like instantly have people that you feel comfortable around and
Hmm.
and and will introduce you to the people that you need to know
Yeah.
without like kind of just being that weird, new person.
It's the nice bond of
Yeah,
being a comedian. Like even when I went to
yeah.
Chicago to do a show,
Hmm.
which also, if you're interested in doing this is what I did when I wanted to go to the US to do shows. First of all, never tell the people
No,
that you're
no,
going there to do a show. I'm
no.
visiting family or whatever
Yeah,
it is. Right?
exactly. Yeah, for
But
sure.
I wanted to go to LA, but I was like, man, flying from Canada, from Toronto to LA was like way too expensive. So I was like,
Yeah.
what's the cheapest city to fly into? It happened to be Chicago. So I
Hmm.
was like, okay, cool. Chicago is where I'm going to fly into. Look at what comedy club there is, Zanies and Rosemont. Sure.
Yeah.
Find out the booker's information, send them a message, like get on a show there. So I literally flew into Chicago, did a show, woke up the next morning, flew to LA. Because once you're in America, it's so much cheaper to fly
Oh
domestically.
yeah, for sure. Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah.
crazy. But like it also is a fun kind of like what if the cheapest city to fly into is like Minneapolis? Wow, that was hard to say.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I guess I
Exactly.
should
Yeah,
go there.
yeah.
Yeah, hello, Minneapolis. Yeah, then you get to experience that comedy scene. You know what I mean? Like, just kind of throw yourself. That to me is more fun than like trying to pay for a festival and getting a
Well,
hotel
yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah, like I went to Australia and when I was in Vancouver, I
Oh,
met
that's
a
cool.
comic who was from Australia and we became friends and then I went down and I reached out to him. It's like, there any little open mics? And so, yeah, I got to do a set in Australia, which was fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, and yeah, my brother lives in Chicago now, so I'll
Oh,
I'll
cool.
I'll have to get your
Yeah, yeah. I'll send you
the
my
contact
contacts.
information
Yeah, yeah.
for
I don't know if he's
Zanies
still. That was a
or
fun club though. It was like really cool. I
yeah.
was like, man, and like experiencing like the green room. I was like, this green room is so
Oh yeah,
nice. There
yeah,
was like
yeah.
snacks and drinks and all this
Well,
like
the
really nice
history,
shit.
yeah, like the comedic history in Chicago is insane.
Yeah,
Yeah, for
yeah.
sure.
And all the
Yeah,
comedians were couldn't be nicer.
yeah,
Like just
exactly.
like, where are you from? Canada? Wow, that's crazy. Like everyone in America is like, whoa, you're from Canada? Because they're like, you're like me, but not really.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
They're like fascinated by Canadians a little bit. Oh man. Um,
Hmm.
I was trying to think. There's one question that I always ask my guests too, and in short, it's like, what advice would you give to your younger self? But I'd like to add more context to it because it personalizes it a little bit further. I want you to think of yourself at 15 years old. So like who you were at 15, what you were
Yeah.
doing at that time, right? What you're going through, all that stuff. if you the phone rings when you're 15 and you pick it up and it's you now on the other end, and you can give yourself a piece of advice. It's not going to impact your life whatsoever, but it might change this younger version of yourself. What do you say?
Uh, yeah, I mean, like I was very angry back then. And yeah, definitely would say like, you know, chill out a little bit, be nicer to people,
Yeah, yeah.
and be like a little bit more patient and a little bit more empathetic. Yeah, because I was like, I wasn't a dick or anything like that, but I was definitely like, there was a lot of anger there. And it was fueled by the things I was into, like punk music
Mm.
and just like drugs and alcohol and stuff like that. Like not like debilitating or anything. But but yeah, that's it was just all about like partying and it was like mostly hanging around with like guys in like punk bands and stuff like that. So yeah, there was a lot of anger. It'd probably just be like chill out, and try to like figure things out, because it took me a while to figure things out. Like I didn't end up going to school until I was about 25. Yeah, I just kind of like didn't really want to be a part of anything. Yeah, I think it would just be like be a little bit more inclusive and a little bit more accepting of people's faults.
All
I
right.
was like very elitist, as
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
especially with like music and like
yeah.
if like if you didn't like the obscure weird bands that I liked, then you were dumb, It was just like, come
I
on, like
discovered My Chemical Romance before they were cool.
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
I'm just picturing like
Yeah.
emo Brad. No.
Yeah, yeah.
I always wonder that
Uh,
too. I'm like, I wonder if like these like new kids have like those kind of like cliques, like a scene kid and like a band kid, and like is there still
yeah.
like preppy kids? Like I bet there's still those kind of like archetypes of
Yeah,
like
I think there
because you
is.
try to like group yourself immediately, right? Like there's this
Yeah.
urge as a human to be like, okay, I gotta find the people that are like me, or this is gonna be a really difficult experience.
Well, I think you also like idolize people without really knowing who they are.
Hmm.
You're like quick to be like that person's cool. I want to be like that person.
Right.
And it's just like they're not cool. They're actually kind of assholes, and you will become an asshole because of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Like there was, yeah, definitely like a lot of people that I kind of clung on. Like if Jordan, like if like Jordan Peterson and like Andrew Tate were around when I was 15, I would be all up in their shit for
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah,
It's
I'm
so
I'm
funny.
happy. I'm happy that I grew up in like that I wasn't as like didn't have the access to all that information because like
Oh
when I was
yeah.
15 it was 95, so there was no internet really. But yeah, I mean, if I had the internet, I would have been yeah, I would have been like
You know,
pretty shitty person, I think.
in a right wing hole.
Yeah, most likely. Yeah, yeah,
You're
yeah. I
just
mean,
like,
because
I am getting radicalized.
I like TikTok, like I'm on TikTok a lot, and
Yeah.
it's totally trying to radicalize me. But
Oh,
like
it's
I'm old
crazy what the
enough and
algorithm
smart
does.
enough to kind of
Right.
know, but also I'm dumb enough to fall for it too, because my wife will call me out and be
Yeah.
like you're an idiot. But
That'd be
yeah,
like
there
I'll
was
see like like I had to do the same thing, like take stock of what I'm paying attention to, because
Mhm.
I'm like, oh man, like both sides, they will show the extreme version of the opposite of their opinion to be like, look
Yeah,
how crazy they are. Like
yeah,
Libs of
exactly.
TikTok is the perfect
Yeah,
example of
yeah,
that.
exactly.
They're just like, all trans people are this insane. And you're like, well, are they?
Well,
Like,
no, yeah, exactly. I
maybe
know.
that one person, but like to say everyone, like that's a bit of a
Yeah.
reach, don't you think? Like you haven't
Yeah.
even met them. What the fuck?
No, like generalization is
Oh,
it's useful, but it's also very destructive.
yeah.
And yeah, I think people really need to yeah, and especially young people, like when I was 15, it was yeah, I would just run with whatever's been implanted in my head and that was
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And like I
WCW is the enemy, and that's
yeah.
I won't hear anything about it. Fuck Bret Hart, whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Like whatever propaganda you were being fed at that time, yeah, yeah, you're just like roped right into it.
Oh, I know, yeah. Well, I mean, you're so malleable and
Yeah, yeah.
your brain is clay essentially. So anyway, but yeah. No,
It's
I'm definitely yeah, I'm
I think that's the best
definitely
part about getting
happier.
older. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I'm definitely happier that I've sort of like, found a partner that's very progressive and has like
Yeah.
whittled down a lot of those harder edges.
Yeah.
But anyway,
You're
yeah.
like her and her boyfriend are great. Can you imagine you
It's
just like
yeah.
casually were like, we're so progressive.
Yeah, she
Uh,
does whatever she wants.
whatever she
Yeah.
wants. That's how progressive I am. Brad, I'm gonna share your Instagram stuff here for people to
Oh
check
yeah. Oh my
out.
God.
It's
Yes.
Brad underscore Doiron. All the links I always put in the description, so people can always check that out. Your adorable cat there too.
Yes.
And
Yeah. That was.
I got your TikTok up too. Are you still TikToking?
Yeah, I post once in a while.
Killing it. I'm
I had
basically a
like
philosopher.
I had a like one video did fairly well
No,
and
fairly
then
well, dude. We're talking 10.9 million plays. We're sitting
yeah.
right next to 2.4 million. The
And
humbleness of Canadian comedy is kills me.
but like
It did
this
all right. It did more than like what CNN gets in a night.
but it like you can't monetize it in Canada. So
No, yeah, it's just
there's
pointless.
really no point. Like
Yeah,
sure,
yeah,
I mean
yeah.
like if you stick with it for sure, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work I don't really want to do.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
do enjoy it. I find there's like I laugh so hard watching TikTok.
I can't believe it's free. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
I really enjoy a lot of the content. And it's like I stay in the For You page sometimes, but like I usually just go to the people that I'm following
Mm.
and just watch their content. And there's some really, really smart people
Oh, yeah.
on yeah, but
Did
it's
you know? I didn't realize this. So, TikTok in China, you've probably heard this, is very different from TikTok in America and North America in
okay.
general.
Yeah, yeah.
So in China, all they show are like STEM videos.
Oh, yes.
So they can only look at like science, technology, engineering, and math. That's it. That's all they
Yeah,
get on their
yeah.
feed, right? So it's like
Yeah.
very focused on that. And then you
Hmm.
go to America and it's like a cat farting in a dog's mouth. And you're like,
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
amazing. And then you
Yeah.
flip again and it's like a building exploding in Gaza. And you're like, oh my God. Like
Yeah,
it's
I
like
know.
so much shit happening, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't realize this on your TikTok feed at the top. You can switch it to the STEM feed.
To the STEM feed. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
So you
yeah.
can
So it's
like click
just
on
all
that and just
science.
be, yeah, smart shit.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
you want, if
Eh,
you really want to, right? It's like about how you use it.
yeah. It's yeah, I mean it's a cool app like it's a flash in the pan. It'll be gone,
Yeah. It'll be
soon.
bought by Mark
Yeah.
Zuckerberg and then
Yeah, exactly.
incorporated into the algorithm like he does everything.
But like those people are going to move on to like other things
Why?
and
Blue Sky.
yeah, yeah,
That's
exactly.
where they're going now.
There's so many different yeah, yeah.
It's
Uh,
so crazy. All
uh,
these fucking new apps. Like if I was like an older comedian, I would be so annoyed. Just every
oh,
day
I
there's like a
know.
new app that you gotta get on. Like
Yeah. Yeah, I don't because there's like a lot of comedians who I know that have been doing it for like 20 years and they started in like the early 2000s, the late 90s and they're just like, yeah, it's just so different now. Where
yeah.
and like I was talking to Kyle Brownrigg, and he was just like the clubs are online now. Like you gotta post all your stuff online, but it's
Hmm.
like I'm also hesitant, like I do record my sets, but mostly just for me to watch.
Right. Yeah, yeah. You don't want to
And
necessarily
yeah,
burn the material.
yeah. I find though when you do like at Absolute where you can put that little stand,
Yeah.
like it's kind of right in between the speakers, so you get decent audio. But
Okay.
I do feel like I need to like invest a little bit of money into the
Mm.
tech, so it looks professional.
Right. Well, I
'Cause
heard
yeah.
the best thing, and I've yet to do it because you got to buy the fucking device or whatever. But I had he's a videographer. Why am I blanking on his name? I had him on
Mhm.
my podcast. Let me just go look here. Um, and he was saying that the best thing to do, Gavin Fitzpatrick, he was
Okay.
saying the best thing to do is plug like what are they called? Like those Rode devices. Like it's like an audio recording like device. You can
Okay.
plug it right into the sound system itself, like into the board.
Oh, okay,
So you're
okay,
getting
okay.
like the direct like
Yeah,
recording of your voice through the microphone so that you are coming through plain as day. And then
yeah.
the other audio of like the audience you're getting from your phone camera or
Is
from your
okay, so
whatever
then you just
else.
use the two like
The
the
two
two sound
lines.
files.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay,
So it's not
okay.
like
That's a
merged
good idea.
together. Yeah, it's pretty
Okay.
good. Like, I mean, if you have the money for the equipment, sure, but like right
Yeah.
now, a cell phone works just fine.
Yeah,
Like,
it's true. I mean, like you see so many people posting stuff, it's like, like grainy video, bad
right.
audio and, and that's good. Like you need to do that, in order to build a, like an
Yeah.
online following or whatever. But yeah, I would like it to be a little bit more professional. I definitely have posted some clips online, mostly like crowd work and uh, like just like one-off like topical jokes that I know I'm
Hmm.
not going to use, but
Right.
it like I don't like putting, like the big hitters and stuff of that because then, it kind of ruins it. And
Yeah,
also
yeah.
I want to be able to, like record an album within the next year or so and then
Nice.
be able to put that stuff up. But
Well,
yeah, yeah,
I
sorry.
was gonna say when you record your album, come back on the show and
Oh
we'll
yeah, for sure.
prompt
Yeah.
people to go listen to
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, yeah. I just got to find a venue is all.
Oh, nice, nice.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Do it like a laugh lounge or something. Are you gonna video record it?
Yeah, I probably would. I mean, it just makes sense, and then you can sort of like clip all, just like, portion that all out, and then you have
Right.
tons of like videos that you can post and stuff of that. But it's yeah, I most likely recorded or like video recorded as well. Yeah, not for like a YouTube special or anything like that. It's mostly just to try to get it on Sirius XM.
Yeah, there's
And
good money in that.
yeah, just make like a little passive income off of that.
Yeah, that's great, man.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Well,
But
dude, it was fun hanging with you and chatting with you.
yeah,
I'll
for
let you know
sure.
as soon as this podcast goes up. It should be December 6th.
Perfect.
That's when it'll be up.
That sounds good. Can we make it January 6th? That's just a very special day for me.
Just call it storming the Capitol or
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you'll see it December 6th, a month out.
Okay, for sure. Thanks.
All right, man. Have a good rest of your night.
You too. Have a good night. Bye.
You've been listening to The Johnny Rogers Show. New episodes air every Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.